About your day. I'm sorry.
I happen to love the number 5.
I have to pick up. I'm wearing it home.
Marvin, you're naked.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
You have until the count of 5.
Welcome to the Got to 5 podcast. My name is Max. His name is Jesse.
That is.
Hello, my friend.
Hello, my good friend, my best friend, in fact. How are you?
Good. It was very sweet. When I played that intro, you just very quietly muttered to yourself, "Oh, I haven't asked you about your day."
Well, we always chat for like sort of 5 to 10 minutes before we start these shows. We talked about your haircut, which was nice. We talked about my shirt, which you said made me look like a racist, but I think it's actually quite a nice shirt. And we talked about various stuff, but I normally make a point to sort of say, "How's your day? How's life? Like, I hope you're okay." And I didn't.
Very sweet. Very sweet.
I didn't do any of that. I'm sorry. So, how are you? How has your day been?
I'm good. It was a busy work day, as you correctly pointed out. New, fresh look. First one in like 6 months. Loving it.
Smart.
Yes, literally rushed to well, fuck you, Jesse. Welcome, Crommy. Welcome to the show.
What the fuck? Nice to
That's
see
how we
you
start
too.
this punk show. So it was lovely. Went to got a haircut, and then I was very pressed for time. Got back here at like 7:30, and I've made 6 videos, 7 graphics for your viewing pleasure, people. So you better fucking appreciate it.
The man's a professional, and I'm very proud of him. I am Nanny, for anyone who doesn't know, and Nanny is proud of Max.
Exactly. How was your day?
Yeah, it was okay. A member of again, we're doing it. So we're doing a podcast on punk rock stuff today, and so it's the most unpunk rock. It's like so a member of my team at work. It was her final day today, so we all, said goodbye. But she was working from home. It's weird, like because like we've had someone leave work, but because she's been working from home the last year, it's like it doesn't feel like she's gone. It's just stuff that used to happen automatically will no longer happen automatically. Do you know what I mean? And
Life goes on. I had one of my guys leave last Friday. We really did sell out somewhere. Like both me and Jesse were like our teams. I've got a bottle of wine. Jesse's got some champagne on the go.
I've got a bottle of Bollinger. That's like as posh as you can get. It's 007 Bollinger, licensed to thrill. Yeah.
Based off our James Bond episode. So if anyone's wondering, yes, me and Jesse were punk kids back in the day, and we sold out hard. Like.
I disagree with that.
I think we're pretty punk.
Yeah, we're still punk, I think, because you work in podcasting, which is very much the pirate radio of today.
Very
and
true.
I work in basically sort of distribution of headphones and DJ gear and stuff. And that is sort of all dance music based and that. And dance music is very much has a punk ethos about it. It's very DIY, stick it online, do your own mixes, that sort of stuff. While we're talking about that, I just want to say, I know this is a punk rock podcast that we're doing today, but Shock G from Digital Underground passed away today. And I want to say rest in peace, Shock G, because he did, his alter ego was Humpty. A lot of people might know the Humpty dance and things like that. We talk about, anyone who's listened to our shows before, we talk about punk rock, we talk about Descendents and sort of that feeling of being other that punk rock brings us. Digital Underground did that with hip hop. I think they were sort of they embrace like the weirdness of yourself and be proud of it and own it. And that's what Digital Underground did for me, like punk rock did. And I put it all in the same bubble. So rest in peace, Shock G.
Beautiful, beautiful moment. Well done, Jesse.
Thank you.
Yeah, punk rock. This is a very big thing in our lives, and the reason we're doing this episode is because we did the Bill Stevenson interview episode, and we had a shit ton of subscribers off the back of that, and everyone's username was like Punk 69 and like 420 Bro and Bad Religion for Life, and we were like, and then since then we've been like talking about James Bond and cartoons.
Couldn't have gone more opposite.
Lovely time. So we made a promise last week because we did singer-songwriters, and all the comments were, so going to be talking about Greg Graffin in this? No, we're not.
We basically got bullied into this, didn't we?
We did get bullied into this. So we're doing our top 5 90s punk rock albums, very specific, but a very important time in punk rock. It was the emergence of its popularity and growth.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about Descendents before and how, in my opinion, they invented pop punk or like American. So I know Ramones, everyone goes on about Ramones whenever I bring up Descendents. Oh, yeah, but Ramones. It's like, yeah, okay. But like, other than that, I'm making a point. But other than that, like American punk rock is something that, especially over here, like over here, you just think, oh, Sex Pistols, Clash. But like, there's been some amazing punk from America, and in the 90s, punk rock was fucking booming in America. There was some amazing stuff, and it was non-existent over here. So I think I can't speak for you because I don't know your choices, but I know from my side, I'm certainly celebrating the American side of 90s punk rock.
Yeah, completely. And we got some interesting choices here. I think the first two that me and Jesse have, people will be like, that's not punk rock, but it is. So shut up. And then we will
justify it.
Yeah, and then we'll get more into the actual punk rock albums of the 90s. We don't go over 96, which is interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we stick around that era, which I found quite interesting. But yeah, punk rock was such an interesting thing, as you say, like in America in the 90s, it got so big. There's always that comparison that when Kurt Cobain died, there was the teen angst looking for something. And then that's when your Offsprings, your Green Days and all of that really took off and really pushed that new punk rock movement.
Well, Dookie was, I don't know the exact dates, but it feels like Kurt Cobain died. And then the next big thing that happened was Dookie by Green Day was released. And it was like all these lost Nirvana fans were like, oh, something new. And Dookie came out and it was like, right, we can latch onto that shit. And that is our new, and it's the 3-chord sort of music we were enjoying from Nirvana, but we're pretty down in the dumps that Kurt Cobain's dead. So here we go. This is fucking happy sounding. Nice. This will cheer us up.
Yeah, let's talk about drugs and girls and all the fun stuff that everyone likes.
And masturbation. There's a lot of that.
Masturbation. There's a lot of masturbation. It was a lonely time in the 90s, people. Lonely time. So, should we get into it? Do you have any punk anecdotes? You normally have facts about stuff before we get started, or should I just crack on?
I don't have any facts, really. I mean, I've got things to talk about once we get into our picks, I suppose. But I think we're okay. Just that, I don't know, like, it's something we've bonded. I always find it, our friendship has always baffled me because, like, we're different in so many ways, but there's these things that just link us together. And punk rock is one of them. Wrestling is another. And odd things like Adam Carolla, Love Line, masturbation, Adam Carolla, just weird things. But
Park, some hip Far Side, you know,
little
stuff.
These really weird things that I don't have in common with anyone else. I have in common with you, and sort of the nerdiness of American punk rock is one of them. So I like that.
Me too. And I feel like I never grew out of the punk rock. I feel like you actually became an adult and started listening to other music and you got very into your folk scene and all of that hippie shit. And you kind of half left it. It's still in your heart and you still enjoy listening it. And then whenever we're together, we listen to it. I just don't think it ever left me. Like nothing comes close to punk rock for me.
It's still my happy place. Like I do like lots of other music and I will enjoy that as well. But it is like, when I'm drunk and I want to be happy, I will put on punk rock, specifically 90s and 80s if it's the Descendents.
100%. So, kicking us off, I'm going to start, if you don't mind, this week, Mr. Benz.
Fuck's sake.
You don't really get a choice because it's all planned and ordered.
Selfish.
It's all very structured.
Wasn't even...
Just, you okay? Do you want to get out your system?
Just sad, no. I sent Max a picture of a chimp earlier that... I thought because he was stressed. He was trying to get all this together in time and he was running around like a blue ass fly. And I was like, just look at this picture of this chimp. It's a little baby chimp. He's sitting there with his hands behind his head like this. And he's got his knees up. And he's just the happiest little relaxed chimp you've ever seen in your life. And I said, next time you're stressed, just look at that, mate. And it touched you, I think.
It did touch me. In reality, what could have caused me less stress was you not being late. As you always are.
I sent you the chimp. I said, look at the chimp. Whilst I'm late and you're getting stressed, just look at that chimp. Don't worry about it.
Took me a while to find it. All right. Kicking us off at number 5 for top 5 90s punk rock albums. And don't you dare tune out until I've explained my reasoning. Okay. So we're going for Insomniac by Green. For our audio listeners, Jesse just left the room. Okay, so Insomniac by Green Day. Everyone's like, "Ooh, pick Dookie." No. Dookie is the first ever emergence of pop punk in the 90s. It was what kicked it off. Whereas for me, Insomniac is probably my favorite Green Day album of ever.
I got this mixed up then. So when I was trying to predict your picks earlier when we were chatting, I said Kaplunk, didn't I? So
you
I
did
must
go
have...
Kaplunk.
I thought Kaplunk was your favorite. Your second. Okay, fine.
My second favorite. Kaplunk is a great album. It's very raw and it's very, dem fresh. It was their first proper album that they produced before Dookie. But what I love about Insomniac is I feel like it holds a little bit more of the punk rock ethos in the sense of Dookie comes out, Billy Joe and the rest of the band are being called sellouts. They're being like kicked out of the scene. They're like, oh, you've gone mainstream, man. You're fucking, punk anymore. And it upset them. Punks have feelings too, guys. And
this came out like the same year as Dookie, right? Like they churned
1
this
year
out
after,
really
yeah.
fucking quick. Yeah.
They released Dookie and then they recorded this in December of 94. So it must have been like a 2-3 month gap.
Smashed it out, yeah.
Yeah, smashed it out. And when they were kind of writing it, it was just, a lot of you're a sellout. You've done this multi-platinum album of Dookie. And Insomniac as a whole, it's a lot heavier than Dookie is. It's got more of that air quote punk sound. The lyrics are a lot bleaker. We're talking about lyrics such as alienation, anxiety, boredom, drug use. It really is kind of a switch to what Dookie was, where Dookie was a lot more like masturbation and fun and blah, blah, blah. And then you get stuff like Brain Stew and Geek Stink Breath and Walking Contradiction, which is just a lot more kind of like angry and meaner for when it kind of comes across. And a lot of places didn't want to play this album because they were expecting like Basket Case and all of these really catchy ditties that they had before. And then Green Day come out with this album and it's like, oh, no. No. So they were just trying to cut the bullshit of like Dookie and just be like, this is us as well and this is what we want to do. Billy Joe said that Insomniac is probably the most honest record that they've ever made, especially when it was made at the sound. And I think just from start to finish, I love the album cover, opening up with Armitage Shanks with that brilliant little drum beat as you kind of come in and then straight into Brat. I just don't understand why this kind of album doesn't get as much love as previous ones do, because I think it's just up there. But then everyone celebrates Nimrod afterwards. It's like, oh, Nimrod's great.
I feel like Insomniac was too quick. Like we were just saying, like it feels like Dookie was such this massive hit. And if you just piss out an album, not piss out because it's brilliant, but like Insomniac comes out so soon after, people aren't over Dookie yet. Do you know what I mean? So the hubbub hasn't died down. So it's almost like too much birthday. You just want to sort of just enjoy what you've got and then wait a bit before you get to enjoy it again. And I feel like they were just too quick with it.
Especially when you change up the sound as quickly as this one did. You're expecting...
Which Nimrod felt more Dookie in its sound, right?
It should have been the other way around when Nimrod came out and then Insomniac. And that's kind of why people slept on it. And recently the 25th anniversary of Insomniac, and they released a beautiful LP with like an alternative cover, expanded cover of it. Looks amazing.
Have you got it?
No.
When are you getting it?
Soon. He always knows when I'm getting it. So we're going to play you some tracks as we normally do when we talk about music, and then we're going to come back and give you a little bit more information on said song and ditty. So it was difficult to kind of pick a song from this album, but I thought I'd start off quick. I'd go for like one of the quickest ones on the album. Often partnered with Brain Stew, but I wanted just to go straight for Jaded.
Love this song.
about as punk rock as it comes, really, in terms of a song.
It's a tune, yeah. It's fast, it's quick. Like you said, they normally it goes on. It like Brain Stew, which is the song before it on the album, like that finishes, and the last note of that song goes on to Jaded. Like it's the first note. It's fucking wicked. Thank you, Seffi Scrub. Punk Bundy looked fucking amazing. You're right. As soon as I saw that, I popped. It was brilliant. It was,
guys, I don't know what's going on with him, but ever since that Descendents, like he got his own T-shirt with his own like Everything Sucks cover album, his attitude's just been off.
He's got
tattoos. He's growing his hair out.
He's sniffing coke out of hookers' arseholes. He's doing it all, mate.
He's uncontrollable at the moment, and
although you pointed out to me, because I'm going through Always Sunny in Philadelphia at the moment, the episode when Danny DeVito is when they do the wrestling and Danny DeVito is the trash man, and it's basically Danny DeVito dressed as Andre the Giant, but that is our King Kong Bundy logo. Like, it just looks just like him.
Is it Frank? Is it King Kong Bundy? We're never really sure what's going on. But yeah, Jaded, as you were saying, Jesse, straight off the back of Brain Stew, whenever they do it live, they do the two kind of combo together because it works as Brain Stew being this nice little slow melodic kind of song. Brain Stew, I found out, was written when his kid was first born and him just like not being able to sleep. And it's really kind of horrible lyrics when you kind of think back about it when doing that kind of stuff. I just find the backstory of Insomniac so interesting in the sense of just like, you have this massive album, but they were just depressed when they were miserable. Like I was just reading a quote here.
We're listening to the music and we're like, yeah, this is great. It's like they were so
It's got
sad.
Mike and Trey shuffling in and stuff. Like, there's a quote where like Billy said, I think I was just lost. I couldn't find the strength to convince myself that what I was doing was a good thing. I was in a band that was a huge success because it was supposed to be huge because our songs were that good. But I couldn't even feel that I was doing the right thing because it felt like I was making so many people angry. That's why I became so confused and it got really stupid. I would never want to live that part of my life over again. It's just like, fucking hell, multi-platinum album and just everyone calls you shit that you respect. It's horrible.
Poor Billy, man. But you know what? I think about this a lot, and maybe I don't look into it near enough, but like a lot of punk bands are tight, right? Like they're all mates with each other and stuff. I never hear about Green Day being friends with anyone.
Weirdly,
they're not in a gang. Do you know what I mean? Who always play the same festival together or who always tour together.
I think it's that friend that you never say you have, but you're tight with. Because Fat Mike's gotten over it now, where he's like, "Yeah, me and Billy Joe are super tight." He told a story about him and Billy Joe going out in the back of a Cadillac into the Mexico desert to score some coke, and you kind of confuse that era of Billy Joe with this like rock American idiot kind of superstar image, when he was just a punk rocker scoring coke and drugs with his friends in Gilman Street. You know.
I mean, I always
Tim Armstrong and stuff, like they were in that group at Gilman Street and doing all of that kind of stuff. But I think everyone just goes, yeah, Billy, just go stand over there, mate. We'll catch up in a bit.
It's a weird, it is that weird thing where like you become a proper celebrity, right? So like you have the public image and you want to keep that away from what you actually like sometimes, because what you actually like, whilst not bad, but like scoring coke somewhere probably isn't ideal for the tabloids. Do you know what I mean? And it's like so I was chatting to Sponge, and who did tours with Green Day, and they were saying that it annoys them that Green Day were always accused of selling out and stuff. And they say Green Day never sold out because Green Day never changed what they were doing, and they never have. They've always done the same type of music and always done it well. All that happened is just loads of people suddenly decided they like it. That's not Green Day's fault. That's not them selling out. They haven't changed themselves to appeal to a wider market. The wider market decided they suddenly like Green Day, and that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the switch in terms of how it happened. As you say, like, their later albums are a little different. It's a lot more kind of like rock element, but from early days all the way up until pretty much 21st Century Breakdown, it's always just been Green Day, just tweaked a little bit as how they do it. I got one last fact before we kind of move on. The album cover of this is fantastic. If you've ever seen the full album cover, it's just this amazing collage, and it's done by an artist called Winston Smith. And Billy Joe's like, how did you put this together in such a short amount of time? And Smith just went, it's easy. I'm an insomniac. And that's where the title of the album came from. And same for Billy Joe, because Someone's Just Been Born, as I mentioned. And the album cover, the actual name of the artwork, is called God Told Me to Skin You Alive, which is a reference to Dead Kennedy's song I Kill Children. So I just love that little fact, like this little happy kind of pop punky punk rocky album with that album title cover. It just it makes me very happy.
That's lovely.
It is. I thought I'd pop in. Yay. So I know people are always, there's the argument of, is Green Day punk rock, is Green Day pop punk? When we take considerations of albums like Kaplunk and Insomniac, I say 100% they're punk rock. 100%. The ethos, the attitude, it's all there.
Yeah, I don't even care about the differentiation, man.
Oh, but people do, Jesse.
I know they do, but I don't. So, like, if you like it, you like it. I think pop punk, it's still got the word punk in it, man. Like, it's still a division of punk, so it counts, in my opinion.
Yeah, very fair, very fair. You're up next, and you don't know what's coming, because you were like, put them in any order you want.
Ah, okay. I wasn't expecting that. That's fine. So this is Blink-182's first album. I know what everyone's thinking based on the chat we just had.
That's why I linked them. That's why I linked them. Mate.
Yeah, nice. Very smart. So this was Blink-182's first album. And not because I'm a hipster, this is actually the first Blink-182 album I ever heard and owned. Because when I was... So Enema of the State, which is like one of their biggest albums with All the Small Things and What's My Age Again and songs like that on... that came out in 1999, so I was literally 9 years old. And I think by the time I sort of realised I liked that sort of music, I was 10. And I think All the Small Things was actually being played on a CBBC advert. For our American listeners, that's the BBC, but children's BBC, which was a couple of hours after school, cartoons and shit. And I think when they were advertising it, All the Small Things was on it. And I was like, X-Men, Spider-Man. And when we, and so I was watching it, Blink-182 were the new big band on the block. So I said to my mum, I fucking love Blink-182. Like, I like music now. I never really liked music before this. And I was like, can you buy me a Blink-182 CD, please? And my mum, God bless her, went to HMV and bought the first Blink-182 CD she found, which happened to be Cheshire Cat. So obviously I would have wanted Enema of the State or even Dude Ranch, but Cheshire Cat is what she brought home. So I put it on and I hated it. So I was listening to it and I was like, this isn't All the Small Things. This doesn't sound anything like the songs I've heard on Top of the Pops and CBBC and stuff. What is this? But because it was one of like the only CDs I owned, I listened to it a lot anyway and forced myself to like it. And I ended up sort of just... As you get older, maybe, I sort of appreciate this album because it was Blink-182's first album, 95. They must have been late teens, I guess, when they made this, like sort of 18, 17 years old. Same sort of age as Descendents' first album. And the the teenage angst in this album is so authentic to me. And it's easy to sort of, when you get to later Blink with All the Small Things, like we said, and songs like that are so clearly pop songs, it's easy to forget that they started like this. And these are just three dudes. This is pre-Travis Barker as well, by the way, who Travis Barker is one of my favorite drummers in the world, but he is very much a top-notch professional, stunning drummer. This is with a guy called Scott Rayner, who is a fantastic drummer, but he's a punk rock drummer, and that sort of adds to this sound as well. And it's just three teenagers. We all did this, three teenagers playing, trying to write music and trying to play music and having fun with it. And I think Blink-182, despite how simple their chords are and how out of tune their singing is, have some genuine songwriting talent, and you can hear it even here. And this is the opening track of the album, and it's called Carousel, and you can just hear the youthful angst energy in it, I think, if that doesn't sound too lame.
Love it. Here we go. Carousel by Blink-182.
out of wishing well. I thought you sent me on a carousel. Here I am, standing on my own. Not a motion from the telephone. I know, not a reason why. Someone to the reason to die. Just you wait and see. As your life is done, it is a well-done dream. Aren't you feeling alone? I guess it's just another night alone. Now as I walk down the street, I need a job to sleep my shade. Buy food every once in a while, but not enough to purchase a smile. A tank of gas is a treasure to me. I know now that nothing is free. I talk to you every now and then. I never felt so alone again. Just you wait and stay. After life is it is a well-done dream. Aren't you feeling alone? I guess it's just another night alone.
Good shit.
It's barely in tune. The musicianship isn't good enough, and yet it's over rehearsed. But it sounds amazing because that's what I did when I was. That's what you did that's what we did together when we were teenagers. Like It's just, oh man, that sound just you can hear exactly where Blink 182 were at that embryo of their career. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that
completely.
sort of just it just sounds. It's so angsty and teenagery, and I love it.
That intro is great because you got the great bass line, which is a really great bass line that they have it. They play it like low on 12 and it's really high, which is really different than what a lot of people play. And everyone's kind of doing their own thing, but it comes together. But as you say, it's just slightly out with like everything else that's going on. And then you have just like the very known Blink 182 vocals kicking in. And I think Carousel is just, you hear Cheshire Cat, and you're just like, this is Blink 182. This is where they're kind of going. And a lot of people sleep on Cheshire Cat as an album. We were obsessed with it for a very, very, very long time. But it just hits, you got Carousel, and it comes in with M&M's, and it just doesn't stop. And then you get like the really
Peggy
childish
Sue is a banger
Peggy
on
Sue,
that album.
exactly. And then you got like the childish, as you said, like them just talking into the mic at the end of the albums, at the end when they're quoting like Airplane and stuff. But it's
they quote Airplane at the end. They do the black guys, don't they?
Exactly.
When they're talking jive.
The
That's
jive,
awesome. Yeah. They do a song called Benoit Balls, which is amazing. Which is sort of about bar balls, which if anyone doesn't know what they are, Google. And it's just it's a lovely. They go and then but it's just, but they just. It's a great album. It is really good. If you're in that sort of, if you like punk rock of the 90s, but you think you're too cool for Blink, just listen to Cheshire Cat and see what you think.
Blink is one of those bands again that everyone's like, oh, they're just a massive sellout kind of pop punk kids, and yeah, good for them. They did great with Dude Ranch and Enema of the State. Why fucking not? I would class them as the top bill of this kind of 90s pop punk era. They're the ones that took it to that next level without a doubt. But you watch Urethra Chronicles or any of their stuff, and they're like, oh, who you're influenced by, and they're just being all nerdy as shit, and they're like, we like Bad Religion and Descendants and Screeching Weasel, and
which is exactly to blame for all my picks today. All the 90s punk rock bands that I'm into because Tom DeLonge listed his favorite bands on that Urethra Chronicles DVD. That's what got me into this music. Every band he said he liked, I just searched and found and bought their albums, and that's why I love what I love today. So Blink I have to thank Blink for all of this. My favorite music I got from Blink.
Yeah, they kicked it off. So like, regardless of what you say about these bands and what they contribute, it's like, okay, maybe they changed the genre in a way that you don't like, but they're still saying what influenced them when they're talking about your Descendents, talking about your Bad Religions, which then gets people like us to go, oh, who's that? Listen, find it, fall in love with them, and then become even bigger fans of those bands than we were previously. Because Blink-182 didn't have like the hardest life. Mark probably had the hardest upbringing, but they were just kind of nerdy high school kids who like listening to punk rock. You know, no one was getting kicked out. No one was getting like all of the horrible stuff with the bands that come later in our list. But yeah, they were just nerdy high school kids who liked punk music. They were me and Jesse. And that's why we relate to them so much. So yeah, I love that album, and I forgot how much I loved that album. So I'm excited to go back and listen to it for sure.
Nice.
Cheshire Code. My next pick, and out come the Wolves.
This was so nearly in my top 5. Yeah,
it has to be. Like I don't think I can realistically not have this album in my list.
As a bass player, you can't not have Rancid, I think. With Matt Freeman, the bass player, is just one of the best punk rock bassists I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, and the song I've picked is the perfect example of that.
Thank you. I was hoping you had them.
Yeah, exactly. So Rancid, complete flip of what we've been speaking about previously. These are guys with your mohawks, your neck tattoos, your denim sleeveless jackets. You look at them and you go, scary punk boys. And this is what they do. But and out comes
what they do.
This is what they do. But Out Comes the Wolves is up there with your Dookies, with your Bad Religions, with your Offspring smash album. This was like the top 4, top 5 albums that caused punk rock to go mainstream. And because Rancid has that image, they're never viewed as selling out, and really they shouldn't be. But I just find it funny that they're in that same conversation, but they're always seen as this like outskirt rebel band.
Well, there's no attractive frontman. Like, with all due respect to Tim Armstrong, love you, Tim, but like there's like with those other bands, there's a frontman who girls can fancy. Do you know what I mean? Like a sort of cute, good-looking guy like Billy Joe, like Tom DeLonge, or Mark Hoppus or whatever. Tim Armstrong from Rancid is hardcore punk. He's like mohawk now. He's got a massive fucking beard. He's got like tattoos all over his head. He's fucking aggressive. Like he sings like this. He sings like he's got lung cancer, and that's awesome. But I think that's why they're not in that conversation, because girls can't fancy them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, completely. And a fact that I find so interesting about this record is that Rancid was so popular at the time that their songs were seen as so catchy that they were the subject of a massive major label bidding war. Like every major label wanted to sign them, which is why they named the album Out Come the Wolves in reference to that. But in the end, they stayed with Epitaph and kind of stayed true to it all. Yeah, Epitaph, one of the greatest kind of producers.
Founded by Brett Dershowitz, who is the guitarist of Bad Religion.
Exactly. So incredible album, top to bottom. You kick off with Maxwell Murder, which we're going to be hearing in a second, and it just doesn't stop from there. 11 Hour, Roots Radical, Time Bomb, Olympia, Washington, and then even the tracks that people sleep on, like Junkie Man, Enlisted MIA, Journey to the End of East Bay. Like, holy shit, this album, 49 minutes, 19 tracks.
Long for a punk album, really
long. Yeah, 19 tracks, 49 minutes, fucking hell. And it's just incredible from top to bottom.
Ska influence as well. There's a huge ska influence. Not necessarily in this song we're about to hear, but through the album there is like so much ska sound, which
but we're not talking
really
like
influenced.
Like any brass or like trombone.
No.
That shit. It's just the
like
guitar.
the Clash.
Yeah, exactly. You just have that very typical guitar sound, but very much embedded in punk rock drumming, punk rock guitar playing, bass playing. It's all kind of there. And also what I love about this album is it's really kind of depressing in a way. Like the lyrics, like you're expecting just this kind of normal kind of punk rock album and stuff, but if you actually listen to it, the emotion in it is really terrifying in terms of like Ruby Soho freaks you out when you're kind of looking at it. Olympia, Washington, cars passing by, but none of them seem to go my way. All of this feeling of escape and wanting, being trapped in these circumstances that you really want to get out of, which was very kind of later pop punk element of it. but you've got these really scary dudes being really like almost sweet and earnest. But again, because of the image, because of the reputation, people just kind of hear this angry punk rock album. And it's not until you kind of sit back and listen to the lyrics, especially in like Old Friend, for example, that you go, oh, this is quite depressing. Good morning, heartbreak. You're like a good friend. Come and see me again. It's like, bro, that's really sweet.
Let's give me a hug, man.
Come on, man. What do you want?
But so there's two other acts that I love that have the same sort of that whole escapism and leaving your hometown sort of feel to it that Rancid give me, of being trapped, you know, and wanting to get out. Less Than Jake do it a lot. There are a lot of Less Than Jake songs that talk about, you know, leaving. And I swear it's the last time that, you know, that tune. And we walk on the same old sidewalk, and we talk about leaving town. And they've got other songs about that as well. And funnily enough, Bruce Springsteen, oddly, has written loads of songs about wanting to get out and see the wider world and leave your hometown that you feel like is holding you back. But Rancid, because they do those lyrics so well, give me the same feels as those two acts, which is awesome. Yeah,
100%. And it's a gift for people who haven't listened to this album in a while. Just go and sit with it, because I had like a little refresher today, and it was nice. And I was properly listening while I was writing, and I was just like, oh, Tim, what's going on? Who needs a hug? Who needs a hug from you? Beautiful stuff. So the track that I've chosen is Maxwell Murder. Kicks off the song. Kicks off the album.
Incredible bass solo as well.
It's barely 1 minute 50 or something. It's really short. It's quick. It's fast. Like you play this album, it hits you like a brick, and the bass solo. Enjoy.
Maxwell gets us in hell. Just when you've been so near. Same old game that he's playing. His thoughts are never fair. Nobody wanna look back. Everybody wanna get out of that right one at a time. Where's the phone? Yeah, drive up the name of that local from there. That's right. 999 if you really want the truth. Dial 999 if you can say it through. He is Jack the Ripper. He's ordinary proof. Call in Maxwell Murder for you. Maxwell got in his plan. He knows the John is plan. Drop rock before you body. Maxwell knows you got it. Nobody wanna look back. Everybody wanna get out of that one at a time. Where's the fellas? Charge those fellas. Name of the local from there. That's right. 999 if you really want the truth. Dial 999 if you can say it through. He is Jack the Ripper. He's ordinary crook. Call in Maxwell Murder for you. Dial 999 if you really want the truth. Dial 999 if you can see it through. He is Jack the Ripper. He's ordinary crook. Call in Maxwell Murder for you.
Fuck. That just puts a smile on my face. Like you're doing the same.
Do you know what the reason I'm smiling, do you know what I picture every time I hear that bass solo?
What?
Is there's an episode of Tom and Jerry when when Tom has broken into the house of a lady cat that he fancies, and I think is Brutus the name of the dog? I can't remember. There's a dog.
Big grey dog,
yeah. So he's in his kennel, and Tom's like sorted him out, and basically for Tom to be covert to get through, he's got a double bass because he's gonna like serenade the lady cat that he fancies, and he sings "Is you is or is you ain't my baby," and he's singing that on his double bass. But he jumps on the bass, you know, with like the one stand on the bottom, and just starts pogo sticking along, and that's like his like covert sort of way of getting through the garden to not wake the dog. And it's like, but while he's pogo sticking, the music is going bum 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 bum, and it's like that Rancid song is that on crack. Like it's like Tom just going like really like bouncing really quickly. It's amazing. Oh god, I bounced too much. Something fell. I don't even know what it was.
There's no reason for Matt Freeman to go as hard as he does on that song. It's not even that like cool little bass line he does in that bridge. It's all throughout. Like if you listen to it all throughout, he's just like and there's just like stunning. It's unbelievable, and it just brings such a smile to my face when he does it. And That's good, but go watch him do it live. Just like find a live video on YouTube of Maxwell Murder.
They extend the solo, don't they, live? They
Yeah.
do it for a good another like 12, 16 bars, and it's wicked.
And you know what pisses me off? It's not even nothing to him. No, it doesn't even make stress.
He's just looking around.
He's looking around. He's like, yo, what's up?
Yeah.
Things like,
yeah, he's like, yeah, playing that. And he's like, oh, there's a fly on that light. What is that? Makes me sick.
It's insane. Like, what a kickoff to an album. Like, you're dead. You know exactly what's coming. And then it's just like hit after hit after hit in terms of what they do. It's just a perfect album. A perfect album in terms of what they do. And please, go back and listen to it and listen to the words and all this kind of stuff, because it's sad and it's raw and it's punk and it's just everything that an album should be. And I fucking love it, man. Love that album. It's
awesome. Yeah, great song, great album. Ruby Soho was the big single off that album, which is just there's no impressive bass solos, but it's just a banger of a punk tune. It's just great.
Yeah, I feel like they went, Matt, you can go crazy on one. Pick which one. Opening track.
Now get back in your cage.
Play it like the normal punk kids, just like fours and eights.
I always used to think that. I always used to think, like, they're obviously not in this list, but I don't know if you're a fan of the Pixies or not. We've never really talked about the Pixies, but the guitarist of the Pixies, whenever he does a solo, I remember when I was a kid and I was listening to it, it always sounded like that to me, because his solos were so sort of like just so powerful and like out of nowhere. It almost felt like he was like on a leash or something. Do you know what I mean? It was like, okay, well, let him go. He can just do this metal solo, and then everyone has to jump on him and drag him back. Like, that's how powerful it sounded.
I'm just picturing this like super group with him, and then you have like Matt Freeman from Rancid, and then you have like Travis Barker just taking like the best of the best musicians, the people that are held back musically with these bands. And then just let them go. Just let them go.
I bet it would be fucking awful. It would just be a horrible noise. Yeah. Shut up!
Just everyone competing. Oh, amazing. Number 2, Mr. Benz. You
This is I. So this is Bad Religion again. Blink-182 to blame. Tom DeLonge, you said Bad Religion was one of your favorite bands on the Urethra Chronicle, which was your band's DVD. It's your fault. So I searched out Bad Religion, went to my local record store, Martian Records in Cheltenham. Rest in peace, Martian Records. It was a great record store.
Great record store.
Went to the Bad Religion section, found this album, Stranger Than Fiction, which just happened to be the one at the front. So I bought it. First one I heard. Turns out it's their most successful album. I didn't know that. It's their only album that's been certified gold, which is mad. Like, for a band who have never been on a major label, that's pretty impressive, especially in the 90s. Excuse me.
Yeah.
They were on Epitaph, which is Brett Gershwitz's label, same as Rancid before. Who Brett Gershwitz is a member of Bad Religion, so he obviously put some energy into marketing, which is good. MTV used this album as sort of a real... When MTV were trying to be down with the kids in the 90s, they used a lot of music like this, and they took this song, the song Stranger Than Fiction, from the album Stranger Than Fiction. They took and played a lot. 21st Century Digital Boy was another big single off this album. It's just Bad Religion, for anyone that doesn't know, they're just a force. Like, they're almost folky in their lyrics, and I've always thought Greg Graffin has a very folky voice, and which makes sense because he's actually done some solo albums that are very country folk inspired. Acousticy nice stuff, but he's always sounded like that. They've always put these incredible harmonies in their songs, which punk bands don't always do. Punk bands, actually, generally speaking, use harmonies much more than they're given credit for.
And well.
Yeah, really well. Loads of punk bands do. But Bad Religion go the next step, and they're like, yeah, we're going to throw like 3-4 part harmonies on this shit, and like we're going to do it live, and all the band members, we're like a fucking punk choir. And they do that shit, and it sounds amazing, and they still do it today. Just incredible band, and strange. I don't know what else to say about it, really. I mean, they're just another great punk band, right? With these incredible harmonies. This song is less punky than what we've heard so far, I think. It's like, it's not just like everything else has been, but it's a great song, and I hope you enjoy it. This is Stranger Than Fiction off the album Stranger Than Fiction by Bad Religion.
the obituary. Oh yeah, cockroach naps, rattling traps. How many devils can you fit up on a match? And curiosity killed the Kerouac cat. Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. In my alley round the corner, there's a white old man with shoulders and a spirit giving it for crack. He'll never want it back. There's a little kid and his family eating breakfast like Thanksgiving, and a pack of wild desperados run for a baby. Someone is scratching at my door. My morning paper has the scores. My human interest stories and the obituary. Oh yeah, create a fire cat. Wolf looks back. How many angels can you fit up on a match? I wanna know why Hemingway cracked. Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. Life is the crummiest book I ever read. There isn't a hook, just a lot of cheap shots. Pictures the shot, and characters an amateur would never dream of. Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction.
It's a great tune, really great tune, and I think it's a great album. If we were doing best punk rock albums of the 80s, I would have put "Suffer" by Bad Religion on there, which is a stunning album. And you sort of, sorry, go on.
Yeah, the thing that hurts me is like No Control. My favorite Bad Religion album is just like
80s as well.
Just like 89. Drives me
There's
crazy.
so many, but and there's great Bad Religion albums in the 2000s as well. Empire Strike First is an amazing album.
Yep, love that. Got it on vinyl. One of my faves.
The Process of Belief is a stunning album. They've got they span like, so I was supposed to see Bad Religion last year. For obvious reasons, it didn't happen. They've rescheduled for next year. And last year was supposed to be their 40th anniversary. Their 40th anniversary as a band. That's fucking mental. So I'm going to see them on their 42nd anniversary once they get round to it. But
Me too.
That's mental. Are you going as well?
Yeah, we had this discussion where I got drunk and then got really excited because it said June 23rd, and I was like, that's after lockdown. That's great.
Oh yeah, it turns out it's 2022.
2022. I'm very disappointed, yeah. Because me and Jesse have seen Bad Religion. We were at Slam Dunk, but the sound was awful. Like, I don't know if it was the wind or the mixer, or they were like, we couldn't even hear.
His mic was off. There was something weird with his
mic was off. So we were like, I don't class it as we've seen Bad Religion. Technically, we have.
Yeah, but we need to see them properly. And they're great. He's the king of the cheesy one-liners as well. Like a song like that, like it's brilliant. He'll tell a story and then he'll go, I bet you don't believe that, do you? No, but sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. And then they'll start playing that song, and he'll just always find a way to say the title of the song as like the end of his story, which I sort of love. It's cheesy, but I love it.
He's the Mick Foley of punk rock. Like, he gets a pop. He's basically like saying the town, and then that's what he does. I 100% agree that, Strange Than Fiction is a great album, but normally people say that Against the Grain is their best 90s album.
But Strange Than Fiction was my first, man. Like I said,
I'm just saying for the people that Against the Grain is normally my favorite from the 90s is Recipe for Hate.
Interesting. That's a great one as well. But yeah, there's something about Stranger Than Fiction. Tim Armstrong from Rancid guests on a song called Television on Stranger Than Fiction as well. So there's a bit of connection there. And it was the first Bad Religion album I heard, and I think the first one you hear is always going to have a special place in your heart, and that's it for me.
Yeah. For me, I think it was No Control was my first one, which is why I love it so much. And then Empire Strikes First. I love Empire Strikes First.
You know what I love about Bad Religion? It sounds smart. Do you know what I mean? Like, you listen to it and you like, even like just lyrically, or I guess it's lyrically and musically to a degree. You're listening to it and you're going, this is music for clever people. And I feel honored that I'm listening to it and I'm enjoying it, which means I must be a clever person. I'm well into this.
My favorite memory of similar to that as when I told you, like, oh, I've been listening to Weezer's latest album, and just goes, the thinking man's pop punk.
It really is, isn't it?
We'll say the same for Bad Religion, the thinking man's punk rock, and I think
absolutely.
that's a fair argument to make. Excellent choice. We're into our number ones now. If anyone knows me and Jesse personally, or have been listening to this podcast through 96 episodes,
3 fucking guesses who mine will be,
and 3 fucking guesses who mine's going to be. So I don't think we're going to exactly be shocked by this. So we'll dive into it. Punkin' Drublic by NoFX, 1994. One of the greatest albums ever made.
If I wasn't, if I wasn't convinced this was going to be in your top 5, it would have been in mine.
Yeah, we can't have a conversation of the best 90s punk rock albums without talking about Punkin' Drublic. It's their most successful album to date. It was reviewed everywhere as being like one of the greatest albums. It's a classic punk album of just like, when people say albums you got to listen to if you're a punk fan, or like albums to listen to before you die, this is in it. And it became the band's only gold record for sales of over 500,000 copies in the US, all without any radio plays or aired music videos. So eventually they did make a video for Leave It Alone worldwide, but NoFX being the pure punk rock that they are, this was, the first one to go gold with no radio play, no music videos, which is insane when you think about it.
Yeah, especially this is pre-internet, people, or like prominent internet. Do you know what I mean? You couldn't have you don't go viral, you don't share shit on Facebook or whatever, or Twitter or Instagram, like you just or upload it to your SoundCloud. Like this is all word of mouth, just pure word of mouth, and gigging your tits off and supporting everyone you can support, just playing every town you can play and making everyone buy your album because you're that fucking good.
Yeah, and then you get little write-ups in magazines, but then you've got like Eric Malvin and stuff on the street being like, come see our show, all this kind of stuff. It boggles the mind of like 1994 versus now, and how you get a gold selling album with nothing, no support or anything, no media, Oh, it's insane how they did this. And the singles that they released were ridiculous. Like they knew what their most popular songs in this were. But the first one they released was "Don't Call Me White." Like, come on, like that's not going to be like a successful song. And then "Leave It Alone," which is a great track, came out next. But it's just hit after hit. Like we were saying with Rancid, "Linoleum," which is of course the song I'm going to play.
Thank you. I was making sure that you were going to play "Linoleum" because
just as you get really nervous.
Yeah. I was
going to play Rico. Just going to put Rico on there.
The Bruise, thank you. But the Bruise is a banger, though. The Bruise is a song. Anyone who Fat Mike from NoFX is Jewish, and he wrote the Bruise as a proud to be Jewish, like anti-Nazi song, which is awesome. But he's written it like a football anthem, right? Like it feels like the chorus.
Oh, it sounds like Bruise. A Skinhead accent. Yeah.
When you listen, anti-swastika tattoos, oi oi, it's fucking wicked.
It's brilliant because like if you're not paying attention, you just hear swastika tattoos and oi oi, and you're like, ooh no,
it's bad. Yeah, but it's a proud like anti-fascist skinhead anthem. It's awesome.
Exactly. Rancid and NoFX did a swap over album where Rancid played NoFX songs.
A split album, darling.
They did a split album, darlings. So Rancid played NoFX songs and NoFX played Rancid songs. And Rancid did the cover of The Bruise, and they made it visceral and they made it angry. And it was like, fuck yeah, I love that version of The Bruise. It's so good.
Who was Bob originally by? Because I know NoFX's version and Rancid's version, and it was on that split. But both versions are so good that I don't actually know who did it first.
I think it's NoFX's originally.
Is it? NoFX, and then Rancid covered it, because both are awesome.
Yeah, and then Fat Mike jokes that Rancid made their most popular song better.
Yeah.
What they do.
But Linoleum, the lyrics to Linoleum fucking brilliant. It's interesting that we're picking the opening tracks of a lot of these albums, because
pretty much,
like it feels like they just a good album just hits you in the fucking face right as soon as you put it on, and that's what Linoleum does. That's what Maxwell Murder does. That's what Cheshire Cat, the Carousel, does. And but Linoleum, like I almost feel like because it's such a punk rock song, the lyrics get missed, and there's some lovely acoustic version. Streetlight Manifesto did a really nice acoustic version of this song.
Beautiful.
Frank Turner has actually done a good acoustic version of this song, and where you can almost hear the lyrics better. But like just the lyrics are so powerful. And this song is just, it just hits you in the face, man. It's fucking amazing. Where it's the break when he says about, that's me on the street with a violin under my chin, singing, playing with a grin, singing gibberish. And that's me on the back of the bus. That's me inside your head. Just, oh man, it's just so fucking good. Play it.
Here's the song, people.
Possessions never meant anything to me. I'm not crazy. Well, that's not true. I've got a bed and a guitar and a tiny bamboo business on my floor. That's right, I got a flaw. So what? So what? So what? I've got pockets full of Kleenex and linen holes where everything is important to me. Just seems to fall right down my legs and onto the floor. My closest friend, linoleum, supports my head, gives me something to believe. That's me on the beach side, combing the sand, metal meter in my hand, sporting a pocket full of change. That's me on the street with a violin under my chin, laying with a grin, singing gibberish. That's me on the back of the bus. That's me in the cell. That's me inside your head. That's me inside your head. That's me inside your head.
Booty.
Ridiculous in terms of a good kick, as you say, kick his face in song. It's just
It's brilliant.
incredible.
So powerful and great. And something interesting, I hadn't noticed until I just saw it there. The album cover, quite similar to Insomniac.
yeah, I
The,
think
the whole sort of old pictures of women. Do you know what I mean? That have been sort of
Collaged
superimposed on a
kind of
It's got the same sort of feel to it.
Yeah, and it's just so great. There's on NoFX's new album that just came out, they've done a song called Linoleum, where they basically recreate linoleum but make fun of the fact that it's covered so much, and it's their most and only successful song to ever come out of it, with Avenged Sevenfold, which is also an odd combination, isn't it?
Strange.
But
we talked about that song briefly with Bill Stevenson of the Descendents, who recorded it in his Blasting Room studios.
there you go. Me and Jesse have become that podcast where we just relive our glory days. That one good thing that happened to us.
But it was a fucking good thing.
It was a good peak. If I'm gonna peak. Wow. NoFX had a great 90s. They released their most albums of any decade. They opened up with Ribbed. Then you had White Trash, Two Heaves and a Bean, Punk and Drublick, Heavy Petting Zoo, So Long and Thanks for All the Shoes, another incredible album.
That's an amazing album. That's a more sort of, that's got some Scar influences in it as well, isn't it? That's a very Scar-y album. I like it.
Yeah, they didn't stop from then when they did, and then going into the 2000s, Pump Up the Volume, War and Errorism, Wolves and Wolves Clothing, even Coaster, they just, again, hit after hit. NoFX is unbelievable for the albums that they churn out in terms of like consistent content, I would say, is ridiculous. Yeah,
definitely. They're just non-stop. Certainly, like you said, certainly until Coaster, which is a good 16-year span of just hit after hit. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, and there's still nothing wrong. First Ditch Effort, which came out in 2016, is probably one of my favorite. It's when kind of Mike's getting clean. You got 6 Years on Dope on there. I'm a Transvestite. The terrible, heartbreaking song of I'm So Sorry, Tony.
Oh
talking about
God, about No Use for a Name.
No Use for a Name, Tony. Which he played when we saw NoFX live. Like, we were very blessed that we got to see NoFX in a good mood, headlining the Punkin' Drublic stage at Slam Dunk.
Yeah, because Fat Mike isn't always in a good mood, so it's always a risk. It's a risk if you buy a NoFX ticket because you might see him on an off day. But we were really lucky to see them when they were really on it, right?
Yeah, but since he's gotten sober, I think it's more consistent good shows than bad shows, you know? And I remember just being in the crowd and them playing I'm So Sorry, Tony, and that was the first time they'd ever played it live. And like seeing how choked up Mike got afterwards, and it was just like, fuck, that was a very cool moment. That gig.
Totally.
Very cool moment.
It was awesome. And if we ever do top 5 punk rock songs, International You Day by No Use for a Name would definitely be in there for me. I think that's a fucking stunner of a punk song and a love song as well. It's amazing.
100%. Nothing beats though that gig when I thought I could go and get us beers before the show started. And I got us beers, but like NoFX were starting, so this was main stage, end of the night, main band playing. I've got like 800 people in front of me. I have my beers in my triangle hold.
3 beers, yeah.
3 beers. Me, Justin, Steph, I had 3 beers, and I start making my way through the crowd. And I don't know how I did it. I didn't spill a drop.
It's amazing. Me and Steph were standing there like, where's Max? Shit, NoFX has started. This is bad. Like, Max really would want to be here. And then you just turned up like, ladies, with the 3 beers. It was like, that's amazing. How did you do that?
Because we did a cooling system where we would yell, salmon. It was the most impressive thing I've ever. My life has peaked. We'd have a cooling system. And this is a tip I'll give for anyone who goes to festivals. With your friends, have an obscure word that you shout out. We yelled salmon. And then we could just pinpoint each other, like whales.
Yeah, so one person would shout, salmon, and the other person would shout, oi!
And then we'd like track each other, like dolphins and whales do.
It does work. That's like our sound test thing when we do, I'd rather have a bowl of...
Go, Pops.
Exactly. See? Like, everyone knows it, but no one thinks to use it to find other people.
There you go, people. We're just going to go to a festival in the summer. We're just going to hear all these random shit happening. Like, God, that was us. We did that.
Why is everyone like suddenly mad on Coco Monkey?
Coco Monkey.
I wrote a letter. Did I tell you? I wrote a letter to Coco Pops when they got rid of Coco Monkey from the.
How old were you?
Older than I should have been. I was late teens, I think, and they got rid of Coco Monkey off the Coco Pop stuff. So I wrote a letter. And I said in it, like, why have you got rid of Coco the monkey from your catalogs and all that? And I wrote this angry thing. And I was saying he's a brilliant mascot and blah, blah, blah. And I love mascots anyway. You know this about me. And they wrote back. And this really snarky catalogs representative wrote back. And it was like, first off, he is not called Coco the monkey. His name is Coco Monkey. It's like there's no the in his fucking name. Yeah, exactly. And it was like, we're taking a break from Coco Monkey, but he will be back because he's a well-loved character. I was like, okay, like, sorry.
I love that there's someone in the world as passionate about Coco Monkey as you are.
Coco Monkey, and I will never call him Coco the Monkey again. He is Coco Monkey.
I'm going to call him Coco the Monkey just to hope that person listening.
Yeah. For Americans listening, this is Coco Pops are a cereal and Coco Monkey is our little mascot. Do they have Coco Monkey over there?
I completely forgot that people were also listening to this show. I literally forgot that there were people here. Hi, everyone. Thank you.
I don't think they do. Yeah, Americans don't have Coco Monkey, but he's a little monkey in a cap who promotes like chocolate Rice Krispies, basically, called Coco Pops, and they're lovely.
Punk rock, man. Okay. Number 1 for Jesse's pick. No surprise to anyone in the whole entire world. Now King Kong Bundy's favorite band. It is.
Well, it's their only album in the 90s, I think. So it's the only one that could be in there. But yeah, Descendents, as everyone knows, are my favorite band. I'm wearing their hat. Ninterd's here. That's good. We're doing this show for you, man. You were like one of the vocal people that was saying about Bad Religion and that. I just did Bad Religion. You might have missed it. Unlucky. But listen back. So Descendants are my favorite band in the world. Everyone knows this. Everyone's bored about it. They released an album. Yeah, everyone released. They released an album in the 90s. Everything Sucks. This is when Milo had been away. Their singer had been away for ages. He came back. They released this album. They had like 1 year of madness. Fucking awesome. It's an incredible album. I don't need to talk about Descendants any more than I already have. The song I've chosen is slightly odd because I feel like the songs that you would normally pick for this album we've already done on previous podcasts. So I know you've chosen Everything Sucks, Max, when we did our top 5 Descendants songs. I'm sure I'm the One has been in there at some point. When I Get Old has also been in there at some point. All amazing songs, all on this album. But I've actually gone with We, which is a underrated Descendants song in my opinion. I think it's one of the greatest love songs ever written. The opening line is, I don't care what they say, those numbers don't mean a thing, we've got it made. And I think it's about what he's talking about is his financial situation. It doesn't matter. And the whole song, you listen to the words and the playing is stunning and the lyrics are just saying, I don't care what happens in the world because I've already got the most important thing to me, which is you. And I just think it's such a beautiful love song. It's called We. It's from Everything Sucks, which was the first Descendants album I ever owned. Again, because of Tom DeLonge, Blink-182, blah, blah, blah. Again, because it was at the front when I went to Descendants section in the record store. Happened to be this album. Thank God it was. We is a stunning song. Have a listen. What a beautiful song.
Bloody lovely, isn't it? Like we don't have to be all like aggressive and like anger. Like what a lovely way to end the show, Jesse, with We. Excellent choice.
Beautiful song.
Great lyrics in that song. And also, again, as we were saying with Rancid earlier, Carl goes a little bit hard on his bass. Doesn't need to in that song, but he's all over the place.
Yeah, he's such a good bass player, man. There's a lot of good. The cliche of punk rock has always been anyone can do it. You know, like it doesn't. You don't have to be a great musician. You could just have a go, and it's just not the case. Sorry, like the best punk bands are still like they have They might not technically be the best players, but they have something about them that makes them incredible. Whether it's charisma or I don't know, like, but they can do something the rest of us cannot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, we don't need to draw out too much from Descendents because everyone knows like why we like Descendents and how good an album Everything Sucks is. And it's a shame that we don't have more kind of from that decade because I'm sure we'd be struggling to pick, but it is great, and it falls in with the lines of you have all of these bands who are coming up like your Green Days, your Blinks, your Offsprings, who are influenced by Descendants, and then here they come kind of trying to slot themselves in with this revival of bands that they influenced to form this revival, and they kind of get pushed under the rug a little bit by it. It's weird, right?
Well, sort of, they kind of get pushed under, but I mean they're not headlining Reading or anything like that, but they but you sort of. But I don't know. I listened to that album and it almost feels like they've come back and they've gone, this is how you do it, kids. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're all, I mean, 96, what, you got Dookie, like Dude Ranch and Enema of the State haven't even been released yet in 1996. So Blink-182 haven't found their feet. You've had Dookie, Offspring might have had an album, but Descendants are definitely coming along and going, this is how it's done. Do you know what I mean?
100% agree, and yeah, we can't fault the importance of Descendants. We've told you guys 100 times exactly why, and you won't listen to us. So, do you want to do some?
I think they do listen to us because I feel like we're directly responsible for Descendants. Their monthly Spotify listenership has gone up drastically lately, and I think it's down to us. So you're welcome, Descendants, and
welcome.
Our check is in the mail, I imagine.
Get on it. Any honorable mentions before we head on our way?
Of 90s punk rock albums. We mentioned No Use for a Name earlier. I love MXPX had some fantastic 90s albums
in general. Yeah.
Offspring, as I just said.
Smash,
yeah. Pennywise had some good shit.
Pennywise,
Screeching Weasel. The Quiz, fucking hell, 90s, but there's so much. I like a lot of ska punk, and I don't know where that stands with punk rock. So like, there's loads of Less Than Jake albums I like. I'm a huge fan of Sublime. I don't know if that would slip into this sort of category.
Like
yeah, I don't know if that counts or not. But if it does, it's definitely in there. There's so I mean, Sublime only had actually the first, I've talked about this before, I think the first Descendants song I ever heard was Sublime covering Hope on their first album, 40 Ounce to Freedom, which was in 92. 94 they released an album called Robin the Hood. 96 they released a self-titled album called Sublime. Bradley, the lead singer, died that year, and that was the end of Sublime. So 3 albums in a 6-year span, all in the 90s and all amazing.
Yeah, exactly. They were unstoppable in the 90s. They were the kind of 90s band that kind of came out. And you're right, that kind of ska punk element is a list that we could do very comfortably off the back of this. Pennywise, you're 100% right. Full Circle, Unknown Road, great albums. Millencolin, Life on a Plate is another great album. Man.
Bouncing Souls, How I Spent My Summer Vacation.
Souls. Yeah, the Vandals, Live Fast Diarrhea, always a favorite. You mentioned MXPX, Life in General is a favorite of mine. Social Distortion, with their self-entitled album, came out as well.
Yeah.
Another kind of great album that comes out there. The Vandals, Hitler Bad, Vandals Good. Probably my favorite album title of all time.
That reminds me of Airplane. Have you ever noticed in the credits of Airplane, every film has a best boy in the credits? So in Airplane, they tell you who the best boy is in the credits, and then underneath it says worst boy, Adolf Hitler.
So accurate. And Refuse, The Shape of Punk to Come. I think that's another album.
Social Distortion from the 90s.
Yes. So yeah, great. A lot of really, really great music. Right?
Actually, a band I got into recently. I don't think I've talked to you about them yet, Max. I don't know if you know them. It's an unfortunate name. They're called the Retards.
Did you know Millencolin was Swedish? I didn't.
I did know Millencolin was Swedish. Yeah, Millencolin. You're absolutely right, Nintendo. They're a fantastic band. Now you're back on your feet again. Now you're back on your feet. That's a great song. That's the opening track of Punkorama 7, I believe.
Punkorama.
Yeah, some amazing Punkorama albums, right? Epitaph released compilations of like they were just like the Bible of 90s punk rock.
You'd get Punkorama, Hellcat record compilations, and then that's how you found new bands. Great.
Yeah. Millencolin, Swedish. I saw them supporting Good Charlotte, which was an odd tour for Millencolin to take, I thought, but they were awesome.
Are we talking like Good Morning Revival? Good Charlotte?
No,
or pre?
No, pre. It was what's the album that did terribly? They did Young and the Hopeless, which was great, and then the album after that, Chronicles of Life and Death. It was off the back of that that they toured, and that was when Millencolin was supporting them.
Odd choice. Yeah.
I stand by Chronicles of Life and Death. Everyone hated it. I think it's a good album. It's a good pop punk album. Good Charlotte album.
Yeah,
so everyone can shut up.
Shut up, man. Just a dead show. Fugazi, we have to mention Repeater. Like Fugazi is one of those bands that, like, I understand their importance in punk rock, and what they do, but I like one of their albums. Sorry, everyone, I'm a shit punker.
I'm the same with like Dead Kennedys and stuff like that. Like I know they're really important, and I've never just really taken the time really, and one day I will. But all I really know about them is whatever songs have been in Tony Hawk games.
Nazi punks, fuck off. That's all I ever need to know.
Exactly.
And that's a banger. Yeah. That's a banger.
Yeah, it is a banger.
Oh, this is, you know what vibes this is giving me, Jesse? This is giving me vibes that I want to drink the rest of this bottle of wine, put on a YouTube live show,
me
and
too.
have a great evening.
Why can't you be here with me? Not long now. It's not long until we'll be allowed to be in each other's houses and we can have a YouTube sesh of punk rock gigs together, drink until we're blind, and make passionate love.
That's all I want, guys.
That's all we're going to do. And then we'll invent a new dance sensation.
Well, why are we doing a dance? Mine and Jesse's plan is to get drunk and go to a cabin and write a punk rock album for you all.
Oh, yeah, we're going to do that. Oh, man, I've got so many punk rock songs in my head. Like, they've just been swirling around for months now. And they're just so angry and shouty. And they're all, like, borderline creepy, I think, if you really listen to the lyrics. But I just need to get them out. And basically, we can do them. And then you can police it after. You can go, no, Jess, that's really weird, mate. Like, you shouldn't be saying that in public. But at least let me get them out, and then you can police it afterwards for me.
Fair. I'm the recorder. I'm the editor.
There's so much. There's so much in my head. It literally, like, stuff that I'm pissed off about that happened to me when I was 14, which is fine. But when you're 31 and it's coming out your mouth, creepy.
So, guys, after the show ends, we're obviously going to be taking a break in 4 weeks' time. We got 4 weeks left of God Till 5. Me and Jesse are then going to retreat to a cabin, write a punk rock album of Jesse's Disturbed Mind, and then release it to you all. And that's the last you hear of God Till 5. And I think that's a beautiful end to this.
I feel like it's an appropriate end, just us going feral.
Fully support, guys. Like, honestly, the 6 months after Got Till 5 is what you really got to pay attention to, because that's when it's going to get really weird.
That's what will be on the Netflix documentaries in 5 years' time.
Never make it out of cabin alive.
Well, one of us will. It will be a battle royale scenario, I reckon.
Bring it on! Can't wait.
We'll make the album and then just kill each other, just really like attack each other, and the winner will wear the loser's skin.
That's disturbing. And on that note, we have to end the show.
Okay.
And wearing skin.
I'm just picturing myself wearing a hood of your head. With your lovely new haircut.
I'll get it cut before we duel, if you will.
I appreciate that, to make my hood look as nice as possible.
Oh, that sounds worse. I'm not even a human anymore. I'm just a hood.
No, you're just my hood. Get your hood cut for me, boy.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. It was a pleasure revisiting our favorite albums and going through, honestly, mine and Jesse's Happy Place. As we said, these last 8 episodes of this podcast is just me and Jesse chronicling what we like for prosperity, and hopefully people agree with it. So
this is verbal masturbation, basically.
This is verbal masturbation, exactly. We have 4 weeks left of the show. It's getting a bit bittersweet, but we can't thank you enough for tuning in, staying with us even up until this point, listening to stuff like this with the punk rock albums, the music, Excited to be back next week. We'll be back next Thursday. In the meantime, if you want to go pick up some merch and support your boys, then you can go to gottill5.tmail.com. Make sure you subscribe to the
Worldwide
podcast.
shipping.
Worldwide, baby. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast everywhere. And if all of this is too much to retain, Jesse, there's a website that can go with all of this information, and that is...
It's so easy. It's just one simple website, and it is gottill5.com.
That's where you go. We'll be back. For people who listen to this episode and post, drop some comments. Let us know your favorite punk albums. Me and Jesse are going to get drunk on this Friday night and go watch some YouTube live shows and text each other. I'm
going to watch Descendents in Hawaii. That's my plan.
Oh, maybe I'll join you. Sounds saucy. I'm feeling a bit of NoFX live as well. So.
Oh, okay. Well, if you find a good one, send it to me, brother.
We're in the mix. All right, people, you know what we're doing. We hope you have a fantastic week. Thank you for joining us. We love you dearly. Goodbye and good night.
Ta-ta!